both of us. So. You've seen how the settings have been scrambled a little bit. Are we up? We should maybe put this on. What we should maybe do, let me start the normal way, and then we'll maybe turn it around like we do with camera or something, and we'll see how it goes. So.
Sounds good.
Good morning all, good morning all. Here we are. How can we do this so that we can both see this screen? I'm not really sure if we move this stool here. It's not so suitable, is it? Well, we don't need to see me, I guess, whatever. Yes, look at this, another special guest, but I want to be able to see the chat. So, or, no, you do what Cameron does. You know, you can see the chat.
Yep.
I'll just do my work and talk to you. And if
that's totally cool.
The touch and go with the chat, you handle that.
No, that's cool. We can do that. That totally works.
Should I introduce you or should you introduce yourself? Let me introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I know last Monday, whatever, a couple of days ago, we had a sort of a special chat here. We had a bit of a talk show. A couple of guests came. And it turned out that today we got a similar situation. It's not as well organized. It's not a talk show format or stuff like that. This is a young man from America who I've been in touch with for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I used to watch you back when it was the...
Are you that old?
Yeah.
You dye your hair, do you?
Well, you know, it's falling out rather than turning gray.
We don't need to go there. We don't need to start. The gentleman is Cal Carlisle from somewhere in the East Coast of America.
Cleveland, Ohio. Yep.
And you've been mucking around with woodblock prints for?
Actual woodblock prints, probably 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And obviously starting from seeing our YouTube channel. And stuff like that. Okay. All right, this isn't going to be actually an interview, me sitting and interviewing this guy. Cal really is one of the regular Twitch viewers.
I'm one of you guys.
One of you guys who has just dropped in. Mm-hmm. So what I'll do, I do have work to do. So let me turn the camera on. Cal can pretend he's Cameron this morning.
Okay.
And we'll chat three-way with stuff like this. Go Browns. Right?
Hey, man. Everybody loves them.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way here. Get the cables out. If we push that too hard, we're going to end up with that.
It's going to, okay.
You know,
well, I'm not going to touch anything. There we go.
Get that crap out of your way. And I'll start my work, and we'll have a conversation as it goes. You know, maybe tell them a little bit more about who you are and why you're here this week. And stuff like that. And I'll start getting my work done.
All right. So yeah, I started doing this woodblock thing, you know, probably 2 years ago. I just finally one day I said, "This is it. I'm buying tools, and I'm getting actual wood, and we're gonna just start making mistakes." And I think this.
But this is out of the blue, or for you had been watching videos?
I had been watching your YouTube videos. You know, I had been on woodblock.com for years, and it was one of those things where, you know, someday I'll do that, and someday I'll do that, and finally I just said, this is it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start doing it.
But is that anything to do with the Twitch thing? Because the reason I ask this is because what I found is the YouTube thing has been there for years and years.
Yes.
And people watching the YouTube, it's kind of, okay, they watch the YouTube, that was nice. They go on and watch something. It's like watching TV or something.
Right.
But once the Twitch thing happened, it was different for YouTube in that people, you know, I'm carving. And the person watching says, you know, that doesn't quite look so difficult. And maybe I think I might just perhaps be able to actually, maybe I could perhaps do that.
Yeah.
The point being that the Twitch being live is different for YouTube. Is that what's happened?
Well, I'll tell you what Twitch does that YouTube didn't, and that is that, like an apprentice sits there, and he might be an apprentice for, say, bricklaying, and he's mixing mortar, and he's getting the mason bricks, and he's watching them, and this goes on for a couple of years, and it's monotonous stuff, and these little tricks get shared, and one day the guy finally starts laying brick. I think in this case it was a situation where here you have a YouTube channel, and it's bop, 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 because you're trying to be economic with your time, you know, and you're trying to get straight and to the point. And with the Twitch, you can after the fact, you can say, okay, well, you know, I was watching Dave. Dave's got that little plastic thing. I've been, you know, what is that? What is that? Oh, that's how he gets his Kento mark. I would have never, you know, thought that. I would sit there with a T-square or whatever, and I would measure it out and go about my business. But you see these things over and over and over again. So we've probably seen you cut over the course of the last 15 months. We've probably seen you, yeah, and it's not that same. Go ahead.
Give him the headphone warning?
Yep.
3, 2,
1.
Sorry.
You know, okay, well, why does Dave tap that Kento and not the other side of the Kento? Well, we know because we've seen it probably 3 times, and every time somebody asks, well, why are you using a hammer on that one and not the other line? These are all things, it's a repetitious situation where you're seeing it over and over again, and it really starts to sink in that it's a good way to do it. Not the only way, but a good way.
But the thing is, to get that sense of this and to get that knowledge, you got to sit there and watch that Twitch channel hour after hour after. You get what I'm getting at?
Right.
Like, don't you have like a job or something to do? Or,
well,
I'm working. That's why I'm here doing this.
This is what I do. Is I work. You know, I'll work on stuff at work, and I'll actually play it and listen to it. And if I'm
You're talking about during your working hours, you mean?
Right. So I get to work before everybody else does. And I'll just put on my headphones and I'll listen to the Twitch, to the Twitch stream from the day before. And then if I hear something that sounds interesting, like, oh my gosh, I think I want to see that, I'll just write it down on a piece of paper, glance
so you're not
at the
watching,
thing.
You're listening.
I'm listening, because I do think that you can't just sit there and watch and watch and watch. I'm more interested in kind of refining other things that you may not have touched upon before.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of time I just sit here quietly and work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see what's going on in the chat in that case. Then.
Like the dots. The dots are a good example. I want to see how you do the dots because, Jed gave me a thing to work on, and there are little dots where this tiger's muzzle is, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta, I'll watch this and see, how he's doing it. And it's funny because Steve Winiecki, I went to his place this summer, and, and we're talking, and we're talking, and he goes, yeah, well, when you're doing that small stuff, it's just a series. And then at the same time, we both said triangles, and it's just something that you've got these people all over the world watching this stuff, sharing.
A couple things before we go. What I've been doing is, we've got the chat running here. When the Twitch streams are finished, I can download from Twitch the video.
Okay.
But there's no way to download from there.
Okay.
The chat. And the various chat software programs that I've tried all either don't run on my machine or run on Java machine, which we don't want to run here.
Okay.
So there's no way to capture the chat. So what we've been doing is we've been just capturing it manually in a copy-paste thing. Now, every now and then, every 5 minutes or so, click into it. Are you a Mac user or a Windows user?
I'm a Windows user.
Okay. Well, Command-All will do it, and Command-A will select it all, and Command-C will copy it, and that's good for another 5 minutes.
Okay.
And 5 minutes later, do it again, click in. And that just gives me later on, it gives me the captured chat.
So you can go through it. Okay.
Sorry about that, excuse me. So. And then keep an eye on this.
Yes, I will.
Talking to me, but keep an eye on this and run back.
So we have another Clevelander here. Interesting.
I forgot, I got to get a Barrett from the back room, so
Okay.
I'm going to go to the latest stuff.
I don't think the shoe lady has passed.
Oh, I forgot about it. I didn't hear it. It would be right about now if sold.
Okay.
Would we have noticed that it's such a sharp sound?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, this is not the same tiger as Will's. This is actually an image that Jed had purchased from.
Show and tell.
From a tattoo artist in Los Angeles. I think her name's Natalie Hall. And so we've been working on, I've had this for a few months, but I didn't want to start messing around. I didn't want to start like printing it in earnest because I wanted to get the flat color down.
Wait, run back a bit. The point being, you are wanting to make prints and stuff, but you're not a designer, so you asked Jed to do something.
I do not. I can design. It takes me way too long, and life is too short to worry about making subpar artwork. So,
and maybe like me, you're more interested in the technical
yes,
side of it.
absolutely. I like the carving aspect of it, and my printing is not good. So
Jed jumped in and said, "Look, work on some of these designs."
Yeah.
What happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what happened with Stephen, right?
Exactly.
Those prints are in the shop now.
Yeah.
Okay. Will this be in the shop later on? Are we talking about that level?
That'll probably, yeah, that's what we're hoping for. Okay. If I can give you something that's worthy of that. But yeah, so this dude right here is the tiger design. And you can't see it because I had proofed it and then cut everything away. But there are little dots in here that had to be carved. And
should we put it down here?
Yeah.
That's showing. Put a light on, get some 3D on this.
Here we go.
What's the wood here?
That's cherry.
Some kind of cherry. American cherry?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see. And you made your own lamination of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pretty shallow here.
Yeah.
You say you have tried printing, or you
I have not.
Printing? Okay.
Those were just that was just to get everything in.
The lines look beautiful, nice and clean. Got a good sharp knife, obviously.
Yeah.
If we were printing this has got to go shallow because there's no question that's going to.
It's
going to bash. And you around here, I see very small, tiny scoops.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a wide.
I do.
Chisel yet, or
I do. What I had done was I was concentrating on this, and then I was going to go around the outside of it deeper. Yeah.
Of course. And what this is, the key block for something that will have color block.
It's only a 2-color deal. This is the back side of it. So that'll be the other color.
So it's A or B. There's areas.
Yeah. So
everything that's on B is not on A.
Right.
And then this will be a white space then.
That'll be white space,
okay.
Yeah.
And this is on the background. Okay. And did you overlap this a little bit and that a little bit?
Usually what I do is I'll overlap a little bit and then kind of trim away to see what I can, get it to match.
The registration marks are.
Yep. There. Yeah, I haven't really gone.
Almost 90 degrees.
Yeah.
How'd you do the transfer?
With Gompy, it did.
No, I mean from A to B, or did you?
Oh, I just took.
Jed's original twice,
right,
and pasted A and B, or you did A first and then transferred.
No, I did the original twice.
Okay, that's dangerous. I mean, again, it's okay to say things that are.
Absolutely, I don't have any problem. I
know every photocopy machine in town will not give you the same result twice, two times in a row and stuff. And I learned bitter experience doing that, taking an original and pasting it down on 6 blocks, and none of them would match. And even with Jed's work, or the one we've done right now, Jed's work, we took for the key block from his Photoshop thing, pasted it down, and then there are color areas. We could take the color areas from his Photoshop, paste them down. It just doesn't work. It's just no good. There's too much variation. So once you've got a single key block, the Photoshop now must go aside,
right,
and you transfer from.
Well, that's what I'm dealing with. Well, that's what I'll be doing with the other ones that I.
Have you got a proof from this? Can we see what the?
I do not have a proof from that. No.
So this is what's going to happen upstairs maybe today. We could have got some paper wet.
Well, I have some. Well, I brought some paper that I'd like to monkey around with. I can come back next week.
Okay, and we can get some paper.
And then that way it's wet,
okay,
and that way we don't have to rush anything.
Halfway through, just a minute here. Okay.
But this is a prime example of stuff that you're just like, I would have never thought of of doing it that way, and it absolutely is just the most awesome thing in the world.
Well, I mean, I didn't invent this. The idea.
I didn't think you did.
Of course, transferring on from the key block.
But putting it through the copy machine or the laser printer or whatever,
Well, I use a copy machine for the first stage.
Right.
I mean, that's only because I don't draw. I mean,
Right.
In an ideal situation, Jed would draw. In a
the-
perfectly ideal situation, Jed would draw on the Gampi and we'd go from there. But he can't draw at that scale. And of course, we don't really want to destroy the original design anyway. So this is not good Gampi. Look at this. We're trying different stuff. We ran out of the Gampi we were using, ordered some more. And this is fragmenting instead of coming off as single pieces.
Yeah.
A while ago, people were talking about the beautiful peel. It's not going to happen today with this one. So what this is the last print from the Kickstarter campaign, last year's September Kickstarter campaign. I'm now officially late with this. It's the 6th of the designs in the boss fight series.
Okay.
And the reason it's late is because it got assigned to our young carver Kawasaki-san, who lives in Kobe. And she's kind of slow, and she's been doing all the subscription work this year. So each month's subscription series has had to take priority. And when that's finished, before I send her the next one, she's been working on this in the back, in her time. So that's why it's taken so long. And she will now carve these. I will send these today. After I do the transfers, I will send these off to her. And she will carve these over the next few weeks.
So she just works out of her
Out of her
home?
home in Kobe, yes. And
Okay.
we've tried to get her to come here because, I have to be careful what I say, but she's a very slow and methodical carver. And she trained in a workshop for a few years, then that workshop collapsed. This is like 20 years ago.
Oh.
And she went home and quit the business. Then we managed to pull her back into it. But she trained, she got the first basics ready, but she's never worked in a production environment. So she sits there carving carefully and detailing a little slowly. And it's very nice, but she doesn't get anything done.
Yeah.
It takes a month to make one of those little loop prints. And I'm convinced if she sat here and worked with us and she could see bang, click, aha, we have to, move this on a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you might say it doesn't matter, and it sort of doesn't matter, except that it's difficult to make a living when you're so slow. She's not getting paid enough. We're paying her well for the work.
Right, but it's
because
just
of her
the
pace-
quantity of the work just isn't there to justify
Yes, she can't make a living
making
out
it
of that
good.
basis. So, and I'm convinced if she just had that model beside her, if she was able to watch people working in a production environment.
I think that always helps, because oh, wow, you know what? It is possible to do high quality work and do it quickly.
Yes. So,
Is there going to be a Shibra print today?
we don't know. Shiba-san's coming today.
Okay.
Background of what we're talking about here, yeah.
Yep.
So she's coming today, and last week she said it might be ready next week. So she may walk in the door any minute, well, half an hour from now, with a sample print.
Okay.
And if she's ready to give me the go-ahead, we're going to scan one today and make the webpage ready and start taking orders if she is ready to do
Very
that.
nice.
If.
Need deeper oceans. I definitely have to bring that sucker down.
It's easy. It's 5 minutes work.
Yep.
This one.
Well, I've got this stuff. I was more concerned with getting all of my stuff inside of the tiger carved. Let's see here. It's not a Jed Henry design. Jed had actually bought the image from an artist in Los Angeles.
Well, this is the tiger we just saw.
Yeah, that tiger that we just posted there. Somebody commented on your peel, Dave. Not good.
No, that's what I said. I'm not going to blame the company. That's all. It's okay. Another tap coming, right? Shoulder two, ready? 3.
2, 1.
What's this double people counting?
Now you had mentioned how your one printer, the girl with the baby, that
2 girls with a baby.
learned how to make the
barons.
The barons.
Yeah, I
how
understand.
she was hesitant about doing that.
Oh, because of Buto-san, yeah.
Yeah.
So in fact, that's the problem for us right now. I don't know what you're up to date on. She came back like a month ago. She came back a couple of months ago to chat with us. Can we get production ready for her? We said, sure. So we built a room for her upstairs.
Yeah.
And she's given it a try over the past few weeks, and it just doesn't work. You know, the baby, of course, it's a 5-month-old baby, and of course it doesn't work, you know. She puts the kid down, the kid goes, mama, mama, and mama, because she's Japanese, picks it up right away. So it didn't work, and she's now sort of given up and gone home again. But she wants to do stuff. When I tell these stories, I have mixed feelings. Dave, the human being, the man, with his experience in life, wants to say to her, you're a 5-year-old baby, your job right now, just take care of that young baby, do things together with it, bring it up. That's your job on this planet right now.
Yeah.
Bring up that baby as nicely as you can. Forget, quote, work, unquote. That's Dave's personal, David.
Right.
I can't tell her what to do. That's my old-fashioned idea. As an employer, I want her to be over here working, making prints. You know?
Right, right.
So, and she herself, her generation doesn't want to do that mommy thing. Her generation wants a career and wants life. And whatever, it's just a different way of looking at life and a different way of looking at things and valuing different things. So who's right and who's wrong? That's not the right way to look at it.
Right.
The point being, I'm not in any position to tell her, go away, don't come back for 2 years, take care of your baby. I can't do that. So all we can do is try and cooperate as much as we can to provide her with work that she can do while still taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
You know. So we tried that first one, level 1, it sort of didn't work. So level 2 now is she has this skill for tying and making barons. So she said, what if I tried to do that? I said, you get going. You give me a price list and a description of what you can make and how you can do it and how long, how many years or months delivery it'll be. I'll put it on the website right now. I can't, quote, guarantee you in stone orders, but absolutely, if we tell a story properly and you've got a reasonable price, reasonable product, there will be orders. Bingo, it's up to you. So right now I'm going to think about it stage. And the reason she's thinking about it is because
he wouldn't teach her how to do it.
this is the question, but just the reason she's hesitant is because if she started taking orders, it will definitely take orders away from Goto-san. She thinks, the guy who taught her, the market is very, very small. He's making a living he can't actually make a living through making barons only.
Right.
He's making a living through making some barons and teaching retired people here how to make barons in a baron class. And she says if she makes barons, it will take orders away from him, and she feels she shouldn't do that. Whatever, the market is the market, you know, and nobody owes anything anybody else in that sense, but she has a personal, you know.
I mean, it's taken a year to get mine. You know, that's one of the things I'm going to be doing.
With Goto-san, have you got it?
Yeah, he's supposed to, he told me he would have it done next week. You know, but it's been a year.
Wait, he told you a year ago next week? No.
He told me a year ago
That it would be next week?
that it would be September.
Ah, I see. So we're okay, we're in the ballpark.
And then I said, hey, I'm headed to Japan.
Then he put it up on the front burner. Okay,
And he was like, oh, well, I'll have it done.
So are you going over to see him, or what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought, you know, part of me is like, I'd like to, because he doesn't speak English,
No, very poorly.
you know, so,
I
you
get the
know,
question.
I thought
You would like to see him, he would like to see you, but it would kill a half a day of his productive time.
I would like to maybe invite him to dinner and, you know, you guys to dinner and, you know, and maybe we could have some sort of,
He's a long way away. I know.
Yeah.
He's way out of town.
some sort of intercourse.
He does, I know, he does. If we check his website, he has classes and stuff going on all the time. Like,
Does he?
For example, perhaps I'm just guessing, next Sunday he could be in the Ginza for one of the classes he works there.
Yeah.
And that might be a chance to see him. We'd have to look on his website to see.
So that's, you know, so I am hopefully going to be taking home my babies next week, which I've been looking forward to because what I'm printing with, one of the reasons why I haven't been printing is because my barons are.
What have you been using?
Well, I have some ball bearing barons that I had gotten from Matsumura-san, and they're good, but you're going to, you know, you can't do anything with any
Control.
with any fine lines, you know, just because you're worried that you're going to damage something.
You can use a Mylar sheet in between, but you just have no control.
Yeah.
So it's just all about the power.
So, you know, I've got those, and then the other ones are they're junk.
And do you have any prints you've made like that?
Yeah.
You sent us that New Year card last year with the dog, you know, it's up on the wall upstairs.
Yep.
Can you show some of the stuff you
Yeah,
did?
well, here
Are you
is.
copying this thing down again, 5 minutes or so?
Okay.
Click into the
So go,
Look into the chat. Just click into the chat window. You were there. Right.
Yeah.
Click strongly in. No, click it. Hi, there you go. Command A to select all the text, and Command C to copy it. And later we'll just paste it up here. Yep, bingo. Thanks.
so this is a manhole cover from someplace on the west coast here of Japan. I thought it was a neat.
One color. What's the paper here? This is a.
That is the Kitaro Kazuki.
It looks nice, actually.
It's very nice.
Did you size it yourself, or it's
I did not. It comes
quite softly sized?
It comes sized, and I think I have a sample of it. Did I bring a sample of it?
Is this double impression? There seems to be a tiny bit of an overlap.
I might have. I think I did, because I wanted to give it kind of a metal look, so I did just plain Sumi ink on top.
With blue inside.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of blue in there to try to give it that sort of gunmetal. Let's see. Here we go. This is the paper.
You're going to translate this for me. I can't. This is Horse District. No idea. What have you got?
He made it for me. I gave him the details and the
seal maker.
Right. Mm-hmm.
These are like Chinese characters distorted into what was the meaning?
I forget. Heritage Printmakers, I think I gave the guy I don't know exactly what he came up with. He didn't describe it. It's this company in Hiroshima that did it.
No idea. I'm sorry. I can't read it. So what the word heritage printmakers translated into Japanese, and then characters that might match this.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's the paper.
And this is it feels machine made, isn't it?
Well, that right there is calendar, but no, it's handmade.
Really?
Yeah, swear to God.
Okay.
Actually, that's what Will and Jed are using for their,
And is it partly pulp or is it 100%?
No,
Kozo?
it's 100% Kozo.
So this is Kitaro, the one that people are raving about these days.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to make a swap and do some sheets. I'd like to test this and try this too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks very, very soft. Oh, I see. You calendared this in one of those plastic clear files.
Yeah, but that right there.
Yes.
Right there.
Been there, done that.
I hurried up and
Jay, the same way as we do that, an etching press, the same way.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a really nice etching press I was using for lino cuts.
And you did it that way just because we do it, or you found that it was?
No. I'll show you this other print, which is Exhibit A as to why you should calendar your paper. So I did a bunch of these back in the spring and was, the colors were all over the place and I wasn't entirely thrilled with it. But this is just a throwaway one. So there's all kinds of imperfections.
Oh, the golf course stuff.
Yeah.
This is on
George Sellis. Yep. So I'm still in the process of trying to get all of that nicely perfected so that I can send them
remember
out.
now. After we had done this, we sent you some kind of paper as a sample or something, and you hadn't actually found.
I didn't want to use it because what was happening, I used a couple of sheets and it was. That paper right there is thicker than your paper, and so.
Well, the one that we sent you.
Right, and I didn't want to waste your paper. I want to run it all at the same time so that it's all uniformly moistened, because you're not going to get that with mixing that in there. It's significantly thicker. So. So I wanted to get my bearings. I wanted to get everything in order, and then from there run.
This paper you showed me, it seems usable. It seems very, very soft.
Yeah.
It seems like it would take pigment nicely and make good smooth color. Are these all transparent pigments, or there seems to be some level of opacity here? Well, what is the actual pigment used?
Well, that right there, this is like 3 colors. This,
Well, it's the blue and
Yeah.
the built out.
right.
So there's no opaque pigments.
No, I think that's 4 colors on that spot right there.
You're trying to use a metal baron with stuff like this, these small areas.
I have a really crummy Baron that pretty much doesn't do anything, and that's what I used on the American flag there. But
What's the mood you're sort of looking for? You know, when you look at prints like this, which are pictorial,
Yeah.
scenery, there's sort of, well, there's many ways to go, but a couple of ways to go are, when you think of the Shinhanga prints, the way that Yoshida family did it, by using lots of very speckled color and lots of omazuri, stuff like this to give tone and texture, then the way that the Watanabe Hasui group went with basically smooth ukiyo-e type color and doing the depth with, by carving and doing different layers of color. It seems to me you're on that side, trying to make it smooth. I don't see attempts to make goma and stuff like that.
no, not yet. I'm one of these people that believes in starting slow and working my way up. And when George did this design, he was like, "Do you want lines and this, that, and the other?" And I said, "Well, let's just leave the lines out and see what you can come up with this design, and just give me something that's relatively easy to do, and then we can go from there."
But the approach really is that Watanabe / Shinhanga approach, where everything is layered here. There's almost no places where there's a single raw color.
Yep.
This is, everything else seems to be stacked up and layered on, layered on, in 2 groups, right? The blue group, and then the green brown group. I guess there's a red group there. They seem to be interdependent. Blue group is by itself. No, it isn't. Blue goes under there, right?
Blue goes under there. Yeah. See, he did George was I was very impressed with the work he did, because he did the color separations. I didn't do them. I don't have that kind of experience yet. And you can see that this gets kind of lost in here, and I think that's more of a shortcoming on my part.
No, I don't think so. I think the way that you and he have tried to do this, with the blue underneath here and the blue underneath here, this really, really ties things together. Where you say you're lost, I think, simply is there's not enough blocks to give it the kind of thing that we see in a Hasui print. What is there? I don't know, 7, is it? 8? I don't know. 7, okay. And that's nowhere near enough.
Right.
You get what you get with this approach with 7 colors. To give it the real Hasui type richness, I keep using that word as a keyword, you're going to need double that many.
Yeah.
Way more that would go over and that would tie things together.
So the thought process here was, let's see what we could do with just 6 colors.
Yes. The other thing too is the light. You've obviously tried to get a light from the side here shining in to illuminate this side. And it sort of works. This is bright and this is dark. But it doesn't have that feeling that jumps out at you as a real bright.
Well, the colors were a hard thing for me to mix, because I'm so new. That's the thing about doing this stuff, is that it really, when you see what people have done in the past, you just go, this person had a very good understanding of this printer had a good understanding of how to mix these colors.
But remember, none of those things just jumped into life as a single thing.
Right.
Those prints we see, I mentioned the Hasui Yoshida prints, whatever. They didn't. They would cut a few blocks and do something, and then on top of that, okay, now what do we need? We'll cut a few more blocks and then go, and cut a few more blocks and go. Only at the end of that era, when it really, really had lots of experience, were they able to take a watercolor painting and bang, cut a set of blocks and go for it. Like we see in that Hasui video we saw from 1957. They've had 40 years of experience by now, and they know how to jump straight to the end point.
Yeah.
But through the first decades of doing that, and all the Yoshida stuff, they didn't go straight to the finished print. They'd start with a number of blocks.
It was just kind of a nip and tuck. Okay, well.
No, just a building on the base, build on the base, build on the base, build on the base. Keep going from it, rather than jump. That Shinjuku one, where we've got the 57 stages on it. There's no way That was designed from the beginning. Us 56
Yes,
pages.
right, mhm.
Like Jen and I do this. I can go right to the finished product with this. I can see his Photoshop. I can do my color separations. Send the blocks upstairs. We print it. Bang, done. Because that's ukiyo-e. It's clear.
Right,
It's
defined
simple, it's clean,
lines.
and there aren't that many colors. But the stuff you're playing with here, to jump right to the finished version from
Yeah.
one, that's almost impossible to do. And that's not how they did it in the old days. So you could look at that windmill print as being, okay, here's proof number one, here's stage one. Now let's get some more wood. And what do we need to do on top of this to go for that? And our problem is, I don't have that experience. Jed hasn't got that experience. Our printers don't have that experience. That experience actually is pretty much dissipated. It's gone. Because the Shinhanga finished when it finished in the 50s and 60s. And now to pick it up a half a century later, there's nobody here who knows how to do it anymore.
The thing I always wondered, you talk about how Yoshida's had metal blocks, is that correct?
The key blocks are nearly all metal blocks, not 100%.
So how do you print on metal?
Interesting question. I'm not the right guy to ask because we've tried it and not had much success. Namabe-san, who's doing the Yoshida printing these days, is the only guy who currently is really good at this. And what he does is he uses water-based stuff. We don't use oil.
Okay.
One way to do it will be to roll oil-based
Right, right.
stuff on it. He uses water-based and he mixes in he mixes in, the word will come to me in a minute. It sounds like I'm teasing a top secret. He mixes in a thing that makes it more gluey, not gluey, it makes it more jelly type
Okay.
stuff so that it sits on top of the lines a bit more. But it still comes out blurred. But they don't care because that's their bag. Yoshida wants blurred key block lines. They don't want sharp,
Nice sharp.
incised key block lines. Not silica, silicone. He's got some kind of little
Oh, really?
filled with some kind of silicone gel or something.
So how does the do they cast that metal? How does the metal?
No, they're what's called iron-ban. I don't have one here in Osaka. I've got a couple in Ome. I know they're a reverse etching type process. When I say reverse, what I mean is there's a line drawing, whatever. You've got your stuff. You draw your lines. So it's a positive. You want the lines to stay. With an etch plate, the lines are the parts that get etched below the surface by the acid. This is the other way around. They draw their lines, send it off to the photographic company, and there's some kind of masking process where the line part gets protected.
Gotcha.
And the part around it gets etched
Interesting.
away. But it's not etched away in a sort of bubbly, scrapey, sandblasting kind of thing that etching is. It comes out dead smooth. The
Wow.
lines end up having a sloped thing on each side, and the bottom of the thing is flat where they've stopped this process. So I don't know any more than that. It's, you can still...
I've always been interested when you talk about these metal plates. I'm like,
Well, they're
how the
iron
hell?
bound. Iron is zinc, so they're zinc plates.
Okay.
They're zinc plates.
Well, let's get back to the chat here. Sorry, guys, I've been ignoring you. Okay.
I didn't hear the shoes name. Maybe she didn't
No.
buy today, or we were too busy.
Well, somebody made the comment that they said it's been about a week.
Well, because I hadn't been here sitting at this door, right? Monday's stream was the interruption with the kids, and I was upstairs printing. Or maybe she's on holiday. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
All right. Yeah, it's always amazing when I explain to people how these barons are made. They're like, "How much are they?" I'm like, "They're a lot of money." And then I show them that video of Goto-san, weaving the things, and they're like, "Oh, I get it."
Yes, but then the next part of the conversation always goes, people say, I could do that in a simple way. I could use it. And it's true. Lots of people can do it in a simple way. You can make a plastic thing or a ball bearing baron or this or that. There are lots of ways to do it. We've tried them all, of course, not recently, but I've tried them all. And there's a difference. So now, when you're working at the level that we're working, there's a difference in that tool. There's a reason why all those things, all the weaving and all the paper layers are palpable in the finished product. And there was one guy, I probably told the story before in the stream, we were showing in one of the print parties, somebody said, how's the baron? And during the coffee break, we showed him what a baron's like inside and talked about this and how the thing flexed. And he jumped up and said, I get exactly what you mean. I get it. And we're like, what do you mean you get it? And he said, I'm a ballroom dancer. I think I've told this story before. How would a ballroom dancer get it? And he said, his shoes. He's got shoes made with these soles that are sort of
Oh, really?
peeled back leather from this ox that was, fed only hand grain, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the point is, he gets these shoes with super leather. He said, you could throw a silver dollar on the floor. I'll step on it, and I can tell you, 1947. He can read the date. I mean, he's joking, he's joking, but that was the point.
Yeah.
So he said, there's the difference. There's leather and this plastic, and the plastic's okay, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So. Cameron-san, have you met? This is Cal. You've met him online or whatever.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
3,
I didn't think
2, 1.
I didn't think it was going to be as hot as it was going to be.
Hot?
Yeah.
You don't know from nothing.
Yesterday was cool, but it's already going to be another warm day.
It's a little. It's crazy because I hear the crows from our hotel, and I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like Dave's shop. I don't hear that, where I live.
Yeah, grab a stool, pull up for a few minutes at least, whatever.
Yes, I've been watching a week these, but I haven't seen one in person.
Yeah, this is
Looks quick.
This is the windmill. All right, I've been ignoring this.
I just did it then.
Okay.
We've been ignoring these guys. Are there questions or comments, whatever, something,
I'm going to go through and.
Two fingers will scroll. If you put that in there, 2 fingers.
Okay.
Usually.
2 fingers will take you up and down through the thing.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll have Cameron. Man, he's. No. Cool. This is my little mini. It's a cute little camera.
Yeah.
I mean, at 35 millimeter, it's fixed to the camera body, but
Cool.
But it's nice because you're not lugging this huge monster. I see some of the equipment these guys are carrying around here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my neck hurts just looking at you.
I have a sore back. See. Cameron meets his alternate dimension twin, of course. Someone asks, for you, is that windmill print for sale?
It will be. I have to dial it in. As obviously there's some problems with it, and my hope is that when you look at, I used to golf. I don't golf anymore because of my back, but I used to be in the golf course business, and I was there in 2008 when everything imploded and people, were out of work. But the one thing I noticed was that the money continued to flow at the golf shop.
Oh, it really did.
Weddings, funerals, and golf. Is that the 3 things?
And these people were spending money like nothing was even going on.
But this print was designed as part of a commercial series, wasn't it going to be? Golf courses
right,
around
and so my thing was, hey, make golf course prints of the golf course that you belong to, or I belong to, or whatever, and then sell them in the pro shop.
Okay, but that hasn't happened yet.
That has not happened yet because I want to give them.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to give them a product that I'm proud of, that'll do George's work justice, and
with all it sets. You can sell one print somewhere somehow. John Amos has got this. The Appalachian Trail is doing it.
I'm very excited to see what
fabulous idea. And then I did the poets. Whatever, it gets things going.
People listen. I would have never thought we're gonna make prints. We're gonna make Japanese woodblock prints of video game characters. I would have never thought of that, and I would have never known that there was a market for that. But clearly,
there's a market.
Jed saw that there was a market for it, and that stuff sold and sold well.
Actually, I'm not even sure to think about it that way. He and I, back at the beginning, it was just for fun. Of course, we thought we might be able to sell some. We'd have to make money because there's an investment in making them, but we weren't thinking.
Oh, there's your good peel.
Yeah, it's coming better, isn't it? So. It's not a good one, but at least it's appeal. So the point being, we weren't thinking in those terms, actually, you know.
What terms were you thinking in?
It just looked like so much fun to do, such a fun thing to do. And we couldn't afford to do it because we wanted 100 copies of that first print, and I had, you know, we put the money on the table to do it. Jed will cost about $10,000 to do that. Because remember, I wasn't a partner. Jed approached me, what would it cost to have these made in Tokyo? Can I order these from your workshop? He and I weren't in business or anything. So,
Right.
So it was simply a commercial thing. Mr. Henry, it would cost about such and such and such and such and such to do this. And the numbers, when we calculated the cost of wood, the cost of carving, the cost of printing, everything else for the first 100 copies, it came up around $10,000. And I, you know, do you have the money? He says, no, I don't have the money at all. We're talking to this guy. I'm like, well, that's the end of the conversation. He says, no, I'll just get it from Kickstarter. And I'm like, kick what? Because this is back then. You know,
Yeah.
But the point being, he wanted to do it just because he thought it was a cool thing to do. It wasn't, you know, shall we analyze the market and stuff like that. And of course, it turned out that his at least his intuition, his sense of what was interesting to him was also going to be interesting to a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. And away we went.
The rest, as they say.
Yes. I mean, I haven't spoken to him for a couple of days because he's just on the New York Comic Con, which was 4 days, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And he must be just lying on his back in program.
Relaxing.
Am I still alive? Am I still alive? Am I still alive? Because doing a con like that for 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's exhausting.
So, and we are still doing this.
Yep. We know the golfers are the ones with the disposable income.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Cal from Southern California.
Golfers do indeed have the disposable income. It's amazing. You would think it's the guys, but it's actually the women will go in there, and I mean, you just see them coming out with bags of stuff. It's like, oh my God, man, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts.
Okay, so what you're trying to do, you're finding a way to justify your hobby making wood pop.
Well, I will tell you this. I think that when, you know, I read this book, it's called Ikigai. And it's like, basically talks about happiness and longevity adding happiness and longevity to your life, doing something that you love. And they looked at all of these places across the world. There was a place in Italy, Okinawa was one of them, where they had the oldest people. And, you know, what was the secret to what these people were doing? You know, was it diet? Was it exercise? And
it was laughing.
And what it was that these people had a purpose in life. You know, these people got up in the morning and they would garden, or they would volunteer at a local, charity. And for me, I look at this, and this is something that you could do for a very long part of your life.
Yeah.
You know, you could do this. You might not be able to do it if you had really bad rheumatoid arthritis, or, your eyes were just completely, shot. But it's something that I think would be...
Excuse me, alert, 3, 2, 1. I don't know if we need to do that anymore, because the compressor, I think, is working quite well.
It does. It's not loud at all.
Sorry to interrupt you, excuse me.
So that's, I wanted to, one day I would like to move to Hawaii. I think that's probably where I'd like to retire.
Yeah.
And if I had something like this, there's a little hippie town off the coast of the northern coast of Maui called Paia. And we go there every winter for a week, and there's these people, they're artists and whatever, and they just chill out up there, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And this compared to something like, you can do this in a very small space. Yeah. You can do this stuff. You don't need some huge production facility, right, to do this work. And I think that was one of the things that appealed to me, but I just like the attention to detail, you know, and your mind is constantly working. Is the wood too wet? Is this, you know, do I need to add some more glue to this, you know, to this mixture? Do I, you know, it just, so many things to keep track of, at least where I'm at, you know. But then, you know, I mean, I meet people like Steve Winiecki. You know, we went out east and I met him. I met Matt Brown.
Such a cool guy, right?
Yeah, he was at there was a craft fair up in New Hampshire, and you know, talked to him. But you talk to these people, and it's like you've been friends for, you know, 10 years, you know, because you all sort of speak the same language and find each other so interesting. But you know, it's just a neat thing.
Hawaii is nice and expensive.
It is. Well, I'm working on making the money for it. That'll be the trick.
Yeah, that'll be the trick. Can I ask, what do you do with other business? You said you were in the golf business. Was that for pleasure or was that work?
No, so I got a landscape architecture degree, and then after 9/11, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. And I went back to school to become a golf course superintendent. Okay. So I got an agronomy degree.
Wait. What's 9/11 got to do with?
I think when 9/11 happened, and and maybe it was different here in Japan, but in the United States, when 9/11 happened, a lot of people kind of looked at what their lives were, and if it were all to end, would we be happy doing what we're doing right now? And I've talked to a number of people.
Very general sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, 9/11 directly did not affect me, but I just said I'm going to go back to school.
Just reevaluate life.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I went back to school and hooked up with this guy that did golf course irrigation consulting, and I did GPS and programming on irrigation systems. And it doesn't sound all that interesting, other than the fact that I got to be out in nature every day, and I was just kind of GPSing stuff in really neat places, like the Bahamas and the sandhills of North Carolina. You could be in all of these different places that normally you would never see. Cool. So I did that for a long time, but then the recession hit, and by 2012, that was kind of the end of that. And so now I work with my father-in-law. His business, he's kind of turning it over to me. He's semi-retired, and so I run that. And we make spray equipment, pumping equipment for the foundry industry.
Oh, wow.
So, how many more you got?
6.
6 more. Blocks. Is that 9, 10 blocks?
There's
if you have 3 up there, then 9.
I've got 6 altogether.
Oh, 6 altogether. Oh, okay, I thought it was 6 more.
Ooh, we're now halfway through this. Got it. I can't do them all today. We've got the basic colors today. There's also going to be a Shomenzuri on this print, which will have to be done after. I can't create because it's a different size. I got to have a finished print first.
Yeah.
So things have picked up?
Picked up. Oh my God, picked up.
It's been
it's insane.
busy.
We keep saying the same thing. It's insane. It just gets more and more insane. We talked about it. Last year's business year was 150% up from the year before, and up to about a month ago or so, we were thinking this year would be 150% up over last year. That didn't turn out to be true. It's looking closer to 200. I don't know where it goes next couple of months.
It just keeps going up.
It just keeps going up and up and up. and we can't scale up production.
So primarily, what are they
Everything.
snapping up? Everything.
Everything. Heroes have gone explosive. Just everything. Literally everything. You know. We keep track in our software of what genre of prints we sell. We have a pie chart. Rookie Heroes are 18% or something like this. And the pie chart never changes. It just gets bigger
just
and bigger
static.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's just a bigger pie, but the slices are about the same size. They're the same percentage.
I'm happy. I'm not complaining, but this brings a lot of management challenges and cash flow problems. Man, you know, there's money pouring through the place, people buying stuff, but that doesn't mean there's no cash, you know, available for things. And then production. You know, about 2 years ago or so, the rate we're making prints and the rate we're selling prints were about the same. And now we've basically doubled selling, and we can't double production.
Well, you guys out there need to get off your duff, and you need to start carving
And printing.
and printing.
Printing. We've got lots of blacks, but not enough people.
You know, at the core of it, what we need is 1 or 2 young printers, professional printers like Yamamoto-kun or someone like that. If we had one really good, strong, young printer here working upstairs, we'd be okay.
Yeah.
If we had 2 of them, we'd be sailing. And then the young girls who are working with us would have a model to follow. They could also pull themselves into that genre. Because the ladies who are working, you'll see them today.
So it's hard to find a LeBron James type to come in.
No, I'm not looking for a superstar. We're looking for a normal journeyman. You know, a young guy who could just do this job properly. And training from zero is we can't isolate the people who can do this.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a conundrum.
So not just carving, printing, making the barons, making paper, just all of it.
These are all different people. We don't.
Yeah, they're not all the same person, but those are steps that need to be taken care of.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is you look at it and people are like, oh, you know, this is like a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, you've got people that make the brushes, you have people that make the knives, you have people that make the paper, and it's not like, I mean, if somebody said, hey, Cal,
3,
I want to teach
2,
you
1.
I want to teach you how to make paper. I don't know that I would want to get up every morning and do that.
It's okay, but that's not your job, because we need to identify the young man who is crazy, like Sawaki-san, who is crazy and says,
About
I want to
paper.
make the best freaking paper that's ever made.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's his job to do that.
Right.
He's one part of the puzzle that we put together, and it is coming together. Actually, you know, I'm not complaining here. I'm sort of bewailing it. Oh my God, what am I going to do? But it is actually coming together, piece by piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yamamoto-kun is coming along as a printer. Sawaki-san, we're trying to get the paper worked out. The farm up there in Niigata, they've promised us Kozo next year.
And
you know,
we've already
it
got
is
one
actually-
big batch from them.
So these things are happening. It just sort of happens at a glacially slow pace, you know. So we're not in trouble. It's not all coming apart.
Sorry.
And my personal problem, how to balance my own time between these management issues and production.
Yeah.
So I'm still a main part of the production team here, but I never get a chance to work at the bench. So that's a real holdback for us, you know. Obviously, Cameron, he's taken a huge, you know, over the last year.
A lot of
Taking some
big burden off of the. I mean, that's the thing, is you don't realize just how much time you spend on paperwork. I mean, that's part of my job, is ordering stuff. I have people. It was funny when you were talking about the pamphlets and taking the last pamphlet. That is like my life, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, we need this part right here to make this thing.
Yeah.
And I have an $8,000 order that can't go because somebody grabbed the last $4 part, you know? And they look at you like, well, I'm sorry, you know, and it's like, well, wouldn't that just be like, wow, I'm taking the last one, better get that ordered.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tell
but a
someone
problem
about
like
it.
that isn't an employee problem. That's a manager's problem.
Yeah.
I'm not shooting at you. I'm
No.
in general terms.
Well, that's what it's.
If something like that happens here, it's because I screwed up, because I didn't build a system
that says.
that could have caught that. Because you can't demand that everybody all the way down the chain has.
Think.
Yeah.
In your terms.
So there's screw-ups by employees, and then there's system screw-up like you're talking about. It's not an employee problem. It's a design problem, a management problem, I think. between me and Cameron to try and figure out how to build a system where that sort of stuff doesn't happen.
So this wood that you're using here.
Oh my God, I was hoping you wouldn't ask.
Yeah.
This is wood we have sourced ourselves and produced on plywood ourselves, and it's crap. It's crap. Whatever.
All right, Dave, talk it up.
No, we've been trying to find wood.
Yeah.
The supply chain is 100% broken. It is gone, 100% broken. Seo-san, the guy who used to supply all the Yamazakura, is now out of the business because his customers disappeared.
Right.
It wasn't his responsibility to produce good prints that people wanted to buy. It was his responsibility to try and find nice wood.
Yeah.
And all through the 20th century, when the publishers fell down and didn't make prints people wanted to buy, down it went, down it went, down it went. So anyway, he's out of the business. He doesn't have a lumber yard full of good cherry anymore. So the only cherry available now in the lumber yards is whatever random bits in random corners that other dealers have come across or found or have sourced somewhere. Yeah. It's not selected. It's random pieces of mountain cherry wood. Mm-hmm. So the wood we're using right now is from a log about 1 meter long that we bought. It would be about 2 years ago. Me and Aoyama-san. We had it chopped up into pieces. We had it chopped up into smaller pieces, thin enough that they would dry quickly. We dried it here upstairs. You'll see them later when you go upstairs. And then we processed it and put it down. And it's no good. Because it was just a random piece of wood.
Yeah.
When I say no good, it's cherry white. We can carve it, yes. We can print it, yes. But it just... I don't know how I can put it in words. I'm frustrated. How can I explain what a good piece of wood is? It just has a nice tight grain structure. Water soaks in a nice way.
Quoting Demi says it looks more veiny than usual.
It is, and you'll see many more variegated grain patterns here that shouldn't be here because it's from quite a small tree rather than a smooth piece from a bigger tree.
Got it. It doesn't carve like butter, so that's what EHS.
It'll be soft. It will carve softly, but it doesn't carve smoothly because it's hard and soft and hard and soft and patchy. I'm not trying to be.
So when you look at, or like in my case, I mean we have what we have. It's all pretty soft.
Yeah, the wood you showed me looked nice, it looked carvable, it looked printable, it looked very soft. So for photographs it looks okay. I think it's that golf course picture on that kind of wood, that could actually be nicely printed, That wood is not so bad that you couldn't print it clean. I think wood is not a barrier for you.
Right.
The kind of picture you're trying to make. If that's the available wood for you, go for it. It'll look clean. It'll look very clean and smooth and even from side to side. I don't have a whole lot of experience with North American cherry, but the one piece that I have had a chance to try, it turned out that the veins where the water goes up and down were so fat that on the plank those veins showed up as white streaks in the finished print, which is why we don't want to use North American cherry as opposed to Japanese cherry.
Now, here,
but it's very close.
one of the things, and I was talking to Steve Winiecki about this, was that you'll get these areas where the veins are actually sort of coming out at a diagonal, and when you're making your impression, what'll happen is you'll get these little specks where the pigment is coming out of
At the end of that tube.
the vein. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when you skin your arm, and the blood kind of comes out, but it's kind of like rashy.
Yeah.
What do you do to try to mitigate that? Is there anything?
I'm not sure what I can say. I don't mitigate things at the semi-millimeter level. We're talking about a surface of wood. We try and get it at the right moisture and the right amount of pigment and the right amount of pressure so that it prints smoothly.
Yeah.
And in general, the thinner the amount of stuff on the block is, the less amount of stuff there is, and the harder you press, the more that brings out the shape and feeling and character. For if you're trying to show wood grain, for example, the big wide wood grain rings, you do that.
Yeah.
You keep the pigment low and you press like crazy, and you can see the wood grain. And that's not just wood grain; it's all the little dots and textures and stuff. So our wood, because our wood is so clunky and full of different patterns, our printers are struggling with this. If they put lots of goo, lots of stuff. Look at this.
Yeah.
There's 6, 7 different types of feelings and moods. So this is terrible. It would, in the old days, I would have just, if this had been sent to me, I would have phoned the guy and said, "You've made a mistake. This is for furniture. It's got to go back." And this is all we have right now.
Send me a batch of firewood.
Also plan.
Well,
remember, we're
how
also
are you
using-
coming along with
Very much so, the old blocks. So the
Yes.
sushi cats that Chonsan is carving right now, the first blocks for those are planar right now.
Oh, right.
And that's old wood being repurposed, and it looks beautiful. Oh my God, everybody.
You're excited about that.
Yes. We've got enough now, we've sourced enough now that we can do next year's subscription series totally on old wood. We've got enough. That testing Aliamas and I did last week.
Nice.
And the first ones are coming to my bench later this week. And in fact, the gift print this year is going to be carved on that same old wood.
Right.
So we're up and running with that. But it's not a good business model to base your business on.
No, because it's
Repurposed
limited.
antiques.
Yeah. But whatever, it'll get us up and running. And there is so much of it out there. So much of it. Tons of it. So we're going to mix. We're going to keep trying to find new good wood. We've got more drying upstairs as we speak that we haven't had a chance to look inside yet. We're going to keep this up.
Now, when you say in the past, I've heard you mention that the wood wasn't totally flat or whatever, that you scraped it. What are you referring to? You said you scraped.
I'm not sure what you mean. The wood, of course, has to be flat.
Right.
In the West of the old days, when I first came here, the wood guy, he was using a table saw to dimension it. It's this rough surface, that's what we saw. Then he used a jointer to give it a basic flat surface, but that of course has ripple marks from the blade and stuff like that. Then he switched to hand planes, good wide hand planes, to give it the smooth surface. And it's a stage of 5 planes, going gradually finer and finer and finer and finer. And some he used cross grain, some he used straight grain, until the final one is a really wide plane with the corners up so it doesn't dig in to make lines, and it peels off. It's your standard. You pick it up and look at a newspaper. And he had the skill to be able, there's no piece of wood ever that doesn't have some bits where the grain is backwards, sakame,
Right.
the grain here, because it goes up and down. At one point it's pointing up, and one point it's pointing down. When the grain is pointing down, your plane just goes so. But if you try and carve it this way, where the grain is this way, your blade falls into it.
Right.
And there's no piece of wood in the world that doesn't have little bits of it here and there that are the wrong way around, no matter how well you choose it. And his skill, taking off such a little bit at a time, having the blade tools set in just a proper way that it didn't dig into the wood, he'd blow on it, and up comes the thing, and it's glass smooth, and he puts 2 together, and you can
See, that's I've read those stories, where they put it and you can't pull them apart. And I'm like, oh my God.
He did that with every guest that came because it's their pride.
Yeah.
So I can't. Even these have been mechanically done. They're supposed to be flat. Of
Right.
course they don't do that.
Yeah.
They're just flat pieces of wood.
Yep.
These were beyond flat. They were molecularly flat.
Yeah.
This is as flat as it gets because it's gone through the machine, but it doesn't do that. Now, whatever, do we need that level of flatness? Whatever, we need wood that is the number one. We need the wood to be nicely selected.
Yeah.
The rest of it, getting it plain, sort of flat, getting it smooth, we can handle that to the level that we need for making wood block prints. The one thing we can't do by ourselves is find that tree in the forest and have it cut in just exactly the right way. We've talked about that before. They cut it now quarter sawing.
So you've got that one log that you bought last year, right?
There's different logs in storage here.
They're all upstairs.
They're all upstairs.
Yep. Could start a Mokuhankan hiking club and we just go wander the mountains finding sakura. You just gotta go in the spring so you can tell them apart from the other trees.
That was the other thing too, is it's not farmed. Because you're talking about a 60 to 80 year cycle, there's no practical way to farm it, not even back in the old days.
Yeah.
So it's naturally harvested. Again, we've talked about this before. It's not like the tuna fish thing where the Japanese have eaten so much and the world has destroyed the resources, nothing left. It's the other way around. The resource is sitting in the mountains untouched. For half a century now, there's been nobody harvesting these. So the cherry trees are out there ready. They're 60 years old. Just before they're ready to die is the time they should be cut. Big, fat, beautiful logs. Yeah. And because we're not harvesting them, they just rot and fall naturally, which is fine for the planet. It's okay. But the point being, we're not destroying a resource here. The resource is waiting to be used in a sensible way.
Yeah.
It's totally ecologically perfect. There's nothing in any way wrong with this. they would go in the spring. You know, the guys would go out in the spring, wandering the mountains because the flowers show. Because you just can find
that's
one,
how I see. That's how
one
I
tree
see.
on every random mountainside and stuff. You know. I guess the seeds are dispersed through bird droppings. I guess it's not. You don't find a cluster of these trees together. They're always completely isolated. So they're out there, but whatever.
And they don't typically grow in urban.
Well, there are lots of parks have Yamazakura in them too.
true.
In Ueno Park, there's actually quite a lot of them. But,
I don't think they'd be too happy if we wanted them to Ueno Park with an axe.
We saw these two guys.
Two foreigners wandering around with an axe. Just took out all the Yamazakura. I've got a park near my home. Its name, if translated, is just Cherry Forest Park. It's Sakura no Mori Koen, and there are so many varieties of
Really?
cherry tree, and they have these name labels that, like, even some of these trees out here, you can see one right there actually.
Oh, yeah.
Little label. It's really
Is that the
common
one
in
that fell
Japanese
over?
parks.
no, that was across the college. You'll see it's all trimmed up.
Yeah, across the street. But I've got all these labels, and I found a section of Yamasakura. I was like, ooh, these might want. No, it doesn't do us any good in a park in Ibaraki, but common
Oh,
parks.
look at this. I put glue on before I cut the corners. Too busy chatting. They probably caught it, did they? Did they catch it?
Did Dave cut the registration marks on the spot?
No, they caught it. You guys let me down as well. You should
Yeah,
you should have caught them catching it. Come
Mr.
on.
Jellybones gets the prize.
Let's get going. Ah, prize. That reminds me. Tonight. The other day we did that
Oh, yeah.
talk show. We did the talk show. I had the book sample, which I had previously bought of their book. They brought one as a present for me that day because they didn't know I had one. So I now have 2 copies of the book that we talked about. Actually, one I should just send it to my mother. She's the one who saved my streams.
Yeah.
How do we decide who gets it? My mother is the prize winner for this, actually. So
Yeah.
I should send it to her. What we should do, we should maybe make some way to pick from the fans who watch the
Yeah.
stream. I'll send it to my mother. She
Okay.
can read it first,
Yeah.
and she can send it on to something like that. Is that a way to do it, or whatever?
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know. Not sure. There's any ideas about that. Anyway, I have 2 copies here. One idea, somebody said, Dave, just do it as a library. Have the people send it around to each other. No. I mean, the people should be buying this book. I don't want to shortchange
Yeah,
the
that's
creators.
true.
Yeah.
Let's set up a lending library so you don't have to buy it and read my copy. That's
So
not
you
a good
read
idea.
my copy. Like,
But I've got to, and we should give it somehow to somebody out there. So if there's any ideas.
nice catch, Mr. Jellybones. Woohoo, prize! Did Steve asks a question? We've been talking about a little bit. Any ideas for another stream like the nude girl in the water print? So another beginning to end.
I would very much like to do that. In fact, you and I were chatting about this the other day,
Yeah.
right? When
Yep,
when
just
the
a couple
gift
days
print design is
together.
sorted out, the thing is, though, that was a 2-color print, which I could do in 3 hours. If we're talking about a 6-color print, there's no way I can do that in 2 hours. You know? So it might be part 1, part 2, whatever. Do the key block or something, and maybe do the key block and color separations in one stream, and then, you know what I mean, breaking up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. You know. It was fun to do, and if we did it again, I would like to organize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You and I made a huge screw up with that, and I can tell this from looking at the Google Analytics.
Yeah.
It turned out actually to be a really interesting stream, but the first 1 or 2 minutes
We're not.
we're not. I mean, nobody has any idea what's going on, and it's hard to tell what's happening, and nobody can see what will be happening. So looking at the Google Analytics, it's like 80% leave after 1 minute.
Yeah.
And out of the people who stay for the rest, they stay for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But we lost everybody at the beginning because the beginning wasn't thought out well.
Yeah.
We didn't realize what we had on our hands and stuff.
Yeah.
So if we do it again, we have to make it more clear at
little
the
more
beginning
planned out,
what's
yeah.
happening. Yes. So. But yes, I had great fun with that. And lots of people are looking at it. You know, the raw number on the YouTube page shows only the clickers.
Yeah.
So that's not the number of people who have seen it to the end.
Right.
But there are still thousands and thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
people who have gone right through the damn thing. You know?
Yeah.
And I just have to keep remembering, Dave, the 40-year-ago Dave, what would you have seen with this, you know? And I would have been glued to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what a lot of this stuff, you know, I couldn't even imagine pre-internet trying to
Put this together.
figure this stuff out. You would just be completely lost.
Oh, auction goods, we have a special one today. Oh, this is such good timing. What time is it? Do we have time for this? 9:14. Good morning, Double.
はい、すいません。ありがとうございました。
Cameron, Cal, don't say anything. Don't say. Don't mention anything. Just don't say anything. Just hang on a sec. This is going to be so much fun. Hang on a second. I'm still actually trying to work. I've made 6 mistakes while I'm doing this, you know. We're going to get these to the printing stage and she'll say, Dave, I have a problem. This is upside down or something or whatever.
Loot, auction loot. I hope it's legendary.
So I was up here yesterday with my wife, and you know, we're walking up the street.
Checking us out before you came, you mean? What, to make sure you...
Well, I wanted to make sure that I was not going to have any
Yeah,
problems
it's fine.
getting
It's like,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Why did you say hello? Whatever.
Well, they were setting up for your little. How did your little thing go yesterday?
Last night, the evening,
Yeah.
5 o'clock or so. Yeah, that was a good one. A good
Shoot.
Katega hole. They've got a travel magazine coming out, and we're in it, and it was really, really fun. I don't know if you saw professional models. They brought models. They brought a makeup. Everything. They brought a truck so they could change their clothes outside. This was a production.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So we went up, and I had told her this was, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago when you were filming that, you know, your little special with that guy, and I was telling her about the whale guy, the whale meat guy.
Oh, yeah, the TV. Okay. Yeah.
And she goes, I had totally forgot about it. Well, I was telling her, you know, this Dave didn't want to go down there because he didn't want to be subjected to the whale stew and all this other stuff. So we're walking, and she sees the picture with all the famous people on the outside, and the whale. You know, the whale looks like he's happy to be eaten, you know. And she goes, "Is that the whale? Is that the whale meat guy?" I go, "I think it probably is. It's the whale meat guy."
Okay, but just a little tiny thing in his favor, though. I mean, over in the West, we'll have Kentucky Fried Chicken, which might have an ad showing happy little chickens running around. The Japanese are not the only people who eat meat. So
Right.
Yeah.
in my taste, that particular animal is one that I really don't think we should be killing. But I get that this is a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. I just wish they would grow up a little bit the same way that we grew up. You know? When I was a kid in high school in Canada, 1960s. Whaling. There was a whaling station on the west coast of Canada. Out they went, shot the whales, and brought them back. So I'm as culpable as anybody. My culture did this. And in answer to him, you guys do it too. My answer is that's past tense. We sort of grew up a little bit and thought about maybe that we don't need to be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But is my answer any more right than his answer? I don't know. Who knows?
They're asking, was Dave in makeup too? They're saying for last night's shoot, or were you not really part of it? They just took pictures of the models.
I did. We did a print party, and I did the party. No makeup for me. But it was funny. They got all their clothes. They got fancy clothes. Got changed. Got makeup. We get in the print party. I say, okay, here's your aprons, and they're like, oh, what? So they did it without aprons.
Oh.
And it's okay. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Actually, the 2 kids did it very well. Young kids did a very, really good job.
Bringing all these nice clothes, and then
Okay. We'll be there. 6. Auction stuff. Anthony, this is fun. I haven't opened it yet. Obviously, this could be a total disaster, but I don't think so. How do we tell this story? We buy from the wholesale auctions here, you know, down in the dealers area, in the Conda area, where normal people can't go in. And in that case, the prints are all on wide tables. In the dealer auction, the prints and packages they're all on lots. A lot of 10 prints or 1 print or 50 prints, or they're all on tables with an envelope. And our guy, the guy who, I can't go in there myself, I have no license for this, but our guy with his son goes in there. He looks at each one, thinks we can pay that much for it. He writes the bid, puts it in the envelope, moves on to the next one, don't want that. You can look at the prints, you can inspect them, you can see what they are. Write your bid on what you think. And it's a what's it called? You can't see what anybody else is bidding.
Blind.
So it's a blind auction. So in that sense, it's just like sniping. You just got to put in your highest bid you want to pay for, and then trust the people not to screw around with this and pick the highest one. And the different from a normal auction. The normal auction, the price is set by the second lowest. I mean, the second highest bid. When you're on an auction, bid 1,000, bid 2,000, bid 3,000, bid 4,000, going on. The 4,000 price was set by the guy who was willing to bid 3. If he was willing to bid 6, you've got to go 7. So you never set the price yourself. The price is set by the guy who just lost below you. But these envelope auctions, no. If you bid 10,000 and somebody else bids only 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, they'll sell to you for $10,000.
Wow.
So you can't bid too high.
Yeah.
Whereas in an open auction, you're never pushed too high. You just push this far enough till the other guy gives up. So this is really dangerous.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous. So if you really, really want something, you can put your money on the table, but you may be paying way more than you should have paid. Anyway, that's one way of doing it. Another way we buy prints is in the open commercial auctions on the internet.
Yeah.
There's no eBay here in Japan. They tried, they came, they failed, they went home.
Yeah.
I've heard they're coming back, but not yet.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Yahoo is the main way to do this. Anyway, long story short, what's today? Today is Wednesday.
the 10th.
This would have been Sunday night's auctions. There's the usual stuff, a bunch of miscellaneous ukiyo, and there's showed a JPEG, and it's got a JPEG of a bunch of packages, and then one print on the front, and it's the Great Wave. Okay, whatever, no problem. We don't usually buy the Great Wave on auction. We have our own copy, whatever. It's 14 prints, one's a Great Wave, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pass. You know, it's just a bunch of... But before I pass, I go down the line, and the visuals, they showed pictures of about half of the 14 prints. And one of them, in the middle of those pictures, I thought, wait. I've seen that before, just a second. And what we should do, Cameron, can you... So, Nicky, go for it. Can you run to behind the computer over there? No, it's outside, yeah. In the bottom right, there's a blue file standing up.
Oh, yes.
And it's the one that says not for sale. It's my own copies of stuff.
Okay.
It's on the left, yeah.
Not for sale there. That's okay.
And
It's on your carving bench.
it won't fit on the bench, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It'll do it to tell the story. This is a large file we've got, and in here, there's one print that I got years and years ago. I have no idea who made it. I've got no idea what it was all about. I had never seen anything like this before. Cal, can you grab those out of the way just for a sec? Point being, what we have here is, have we got the scale handy here on my hands? This is a double size Oban woodblock reproduction of an Utamoto design. I've got no idea. There's carvers and printers' names, but I don't know who published it. It would have been about maybe 1950s or 60s. It's hard to tell from the paper. So I knew such a thing existed. I have this copy. Anyway, in that auction, scrolling down through the list of images, that same image was there.
Huh.
And I thought, wait a minute.
Where's this from?
What is this? Because it showed first the 14 packages were all the same size with a Great Wave on it. And then you scroll down, and one of the images, I'm thinking it's the same one that I've already got. It's a double-size Oban.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking all 14 of these could be part of a set that was carved and printed as double-size Oban. There's no description about this, there's no nothing. We go down through, a couple of them are hook-side paintings, which I've never seen reproduced before. Anyway, so I think, whatever, even if they're normal stuff, we can put them in the shop if they're okay, so I bid on it. We bid, 3 or 4 people bid, they all dropped out at the $30, $40, $50, but one other guy must have had the feeling like me. He must think, wait a minute, I think there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And he pushed, and I went up, and he went up, and I went up, and he went up. I forget what I actually paid. It was about $600, I think. And at this point, I'm thinking, Dave, I hope you know what you're doing, just based on that one little image you've got. Now, I go back to look at the JPEG and compare it with this one. And I think it's the same, but that's just a little tiny auction JPEG. Anyway, whatever. I put my foot to the floor. Cameron's here trying to balance the budget for the payday, because this is happening on payday. This is Sunday night, this is happening, and he's going to write the checks Monday and Tuesday for payday. So I can't blow this all out here. So anyway, I bought it.
Food out of people's mouths.
I bought it, and now the guy made the delivery. Cameron, look at this thing. Look at the size of that package. I think, can you pick it up?
You might have.
Whatever, put it over there behind you or something where they can see the size of this thing.
It's
It's over there. Yeah, there's another set. The same guy. We bought 2 or 3 sets and said, lean it against the wall or something or whatever.
Oh yeah,
This is the package.
It is enormous.
And I'm guessing we have a set of 14 humongous, monstrous ukiyo-e prints here. Somebody grab a knife and get in there. Let's have a look. We can't leave it at that point. Grab a knife and get in there. Cal, can you take this? Can you throw it back over there, please? You'll see where it goes. Unboxing.
Unboxing video. We taped it very securely, which is good.
Cal, do you see if there's any comments or something or whatever? Or have a look at the.
Yeah.
What we should maybe do, let's pop this thing out of the way here. We don't need that anymore. Let's go for this. First party was for 2, it's going to be 3. Somebody else joined. I think somebody Chinese. Yes, yeah, I think we're okay. There's no other parties today. So.
I'm not worried about this. This thing is wrapped so secure. Holy cow. I'm just afraid I'm gonna cut prints.
Remember that time that Cameron cut through those prints?
What? What?
I'm afraid I might do that. Yeah.
Dave, I thought Dave was going to say, we'll open it another time. No, I wouldn't be that cruel. I wouldn't be that cruel. Shiba-san. Oh, Shiba-san's here. Have you got a big, are you carrying an Oban-sized print? Where's your print?
デビッドさんにプレゼントです。
Where's your print? Where's your print?
私のプレゼン
So,
トじゃないよ。
they're waiting for it, Shiba-san.
再来週持ってくる。
再来週。
そうだよ。だって来週がまだ。
Okay, okay. Thank you. じゃあ、今のストリームの皆さんが、ちょっと石部さん、ちょっと、今、カメラですから、ちょっとごめんなさい。
今日は T シャツ着てたんやで。
You come in here every week and we start looking at your breast. Get out of the way.
めっちゃ邪魔してたらごめんなさいね。
Go ahead. Hey, this is Shiba-san. I'll actually put this back for a minute here. That is Shiba-san just running in, and she doesn't have her print finished yet. I'm sorry. So for those of you who are waiting for her print, she says, "It's a Shiba-san. When will we see it? It's a."
再来週。
So she says, the week after next.
Yes.
From the horse's mouth, you heard it. So I'm sorry. Meanwhile, let's get back to our unboxing. Hey, thank you. 何どこですか？どこ？
青梅です。ちょっと待って、ジェドさんってこっち来るんですか？
ジェドさん10月の終わり頃22日ぐらいとか。
あ、そうなんですね。昨日青梅に行った時にそんな噂を聞いたから、あ、そうなんだって知らなかった。
そう。だからこれから多めにお願いするからもうヒーロー全部こっちの方に送って、ジェドさんには全部サインして。
そう一気にサインしてもらえたらいいねみたいなこと言ってたから、じゃあ再来週、あ、違う、
20日頃。
わかりました。エバータンのなんか今年のギフトのやつ。
まだですね。でもいや忘れたんじゃないよ。安井さんが本当にギフトに待ってますが、It's okay, it's coming.
今私も持ってるんでしょ？
No, 予定変わりました。
あら。あ、そうなんですか。
There should be two print sets in here.
Right here? Yep.
Which one is
This
which?
came apart.
I think that's the one we're talking about. Show Tansu.
Oh,
No, this one. This one. Tell me this one.
you had her. Yes. I think the rest of this can be. Oh, really?
Let's have a look. What have we got? They're all numbered, right? Number 1. So it's actually, is it a full set? 1, 3. No, it's a broken set. 1, 3, 4. Let's have a look at something.
Go ahead.
Look at the size of these
なんか
things.
柔らかいお玉かなんかにスポンジ
Double
を
open.
置いて
Who could sponsor this? Who could publish these? Who bought them?
あとは軽いのに
There's the great
だ
way.
ったらそう布かなんかちょっと巻いてそれでこう 和紙の上に一枚のクッキングシートして
Did that say who the publisher is?
Wow. What a mess though. But look at this. Oh my god. It's double open size. Here we are. Okura. He's the top carver in that. Here, man. Ito. Sumi.
歯が
Is it
小さ
published?
いんだけど、これ骨でしょ、この形でした。
Double open reproductions. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
この、なんていうこの骨が、ちょっと折り合いが
So just for reference, here, let me slide by. Just for reference. A normal, real, actual size great wave is this, and it's the paper. It's the double. The paper is printed twice as big. Illustration. This. They must make it with blocks this big.
Yeah,
real.
variability.
But it's not so bad, no? They put gray on their foreheads. I don't know why.
I just needed to add more blocks because it's so big. I don't know. Just, there's a double sky gray bokashi, it looks like. Is that common? Having
Yeah,
one
that's
here?
from some. Yeah.
そうですね額に向けて
They're saying, I want one, I'm gonna get it. These are huge.
Well, my first guess, I think, is that perhaps this is going to stay in our collection. But,
でも、浅香先生が、2枚ぐらいくれることでしたけど、もっと
it looks like we're not foxed.
Yeah,
文章が
it's in nice condition.
Should we grab another one at random? No idea what's in here.
Some are not numbered, it looks like.
Not numbers. Very interesting. Same set.
Yeah. 9.
そうですね卒業終わりましたよ明日から私も学装です学を作る
There's also the you can smell the mold.
Yeah.
We have got to get these out of this package. This is the world's worst way. What about
でそれを明日さっきしやす
So it's too bad. We have to basically destroy the packaging.
Yeah.
It destroys a lot of that feedback. But we leave them in here.
こうい
It's
う
already
イ
started
メー
to
ジして
dig
ない
up.
んですねなんだろう去年の時の木とかを組み合わせ
Looks like that's only on the
It's on
outside.
here, yeah.
あげてないんですよ
Which is why these things have to come out of this.
自分のそうそうオリジナルでものを作るんで私もなんかイメージしたのを作って
今日はよっちゃんお休み
Huge.
You know how much work that is? Oh my god.
まあ、わかんない、
My god.
気分が悪い。
Wow. Cool.
14 of them.
You got your money's worth today.
I think I got one of these. So, right, so we'll have a look. And my first thought, I can't see some of these. I can't.
Yeah.
ありがとうございます
But I'm also curious now. Now that I know such a thing exists and that they're out there, there must be more of this set out there to find. Here's the Hamoto name. I don't recognize. Kyoeido. Koeido? Kyoeido?
How could some unknown print shop make prints of this size and quality?
Well, it's unknown to me, but it's unknown to me. These are pretty early. I don't think they're pre-war, but oh, look at this! This is a famous Hokusai design. Look at this. Famous Hokusai painting, reproduced as woodblock. Look at this. Wow, let's put it in. Gold, silver, colored.
Yeah.
That alone, if we sold it, that would be the whole box, the cost. Yeah. But I'm not thinking we'll be selling it.
Wow. Christmas time. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Let's give you a side. Yeah, yeah. Cameron, tell us at what point you're comfortable with how much do you spend on this?
It's the thing about how much I can spend on these things. There's no single rule about this because our cash flow situation is up and down all the time.
Yeah.
The reason I felt that I could do this is a couple things. I knew it was payday, which was a downside. I knew also, remember, he and I watched the cash, and I knew we had enough cash in. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend money that I didn't have. We never do that. We can't go into debt. In fact, we can't do that.
Don't have a way to go.
So we can't do that. So I didn't blow everything we've had. And I also know that this is October. We're coming into October, December, our biggest 3 months for income. So I didn't mean to say, I joked about it, can I spend this and with Cameron. Of course I'm sensible with this. We have a budget that we can spend for stuff for the flea market. And I also know I can spend a bit extra. I can buy things for our own collection, which is just, it's future investment, I don't know. I mean, I'm 66 years old. I shouldn't be buying stuff and accumulating stuff. And as a person, I'm really not doing that. But I'm thinking that this business will be stable after I'm gone. And the fact that the business has a really nice ukiyo collection is, I think, not a problem. I don't know, we'll see. But if the business doesn't survive once I'm gone, there's going to be one hell of a fire sale from somebody, absolutely. My daughters are going to just clean up. Who knows, whatever. Anyway, we better get out of here. It's 9:35. We have a shop to run. You guys want to come and say goodbye and sign off and whatever? And again, did we ever mention your name, by the way? This is Cal Carlisle. Did you say so? I don't remember.
You mentioned it at the beginning.
And how do people recognize you? Because you've used different handle names over on the Twitch, over on the Acolytes page. You don't call yourself Cal, right?
No, I do. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. So people know who you are.
Your heritage.
Yeah, I'm not on there a whole lot, but I look and see what everybody's doing, and
But your heritage printmakers in some of those.
Yeah.
Right? It's about
Mm-hmm.
putting in
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But this was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks
Who
for
knows?
coming in. And
Maybe I'll come back
Cal,
next
now,
week.
the idea for Cal, he's going to hang around today, and he made sure, Dave, will there be printers working there on the day I come? Because he's desperate. Is that
I
right,
am
Too?
absolutely
He's
desperate.
to get upstairs and watch the printers and feel the paper and see what's going on. And we're cool. There's 2 girls working up there today. No
Awesome.
problem. And what you could do also, not to trivialize you, but whatever, work with the girls, do some print body stuff here. Spend the day, mucking around with that stuff as well, just to get some hands-on experience at what paper moisture and stuff feels like. So,
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Signing off. 2 days in a row,
Take care,
special
guys.
guests. It was good fun. Okay. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Look at those prints.
Yeah.
Side benefits of my job,
Yeah.
So. Okay. Signing off. Out we go. First camera down. We now have the famous hot mic situation. Anything anybody wants to say? Goodbye to Atelier Bento. Bye-bye, guys. See you tomorrow.